Okay. I don't see where it says we're recording, but hopefully we are. Perfect. Okay. All right. So tonight's team call, I wanted to do something different. And I was really thinking about what I could do that would benefit everyone the most. And in a season that I've had a lot of coaches coming in and out and being up and down and people's lives being crazy and a lot of personal stuff going on, and it happened with me with my pregnancy and my move, it's really hard to be consistent in this business, but it's a business of consistency. So I started to think about like what I can do team calls on all these little topics of like tracking and planning your month in advance and all these things that are great. But ultimately, like, how can I sum this all up to help people be successful and know what they need to do? And so, obviously, hitting Success Club is something that you want to do every single month, and that will build a successful business. But in order to hit Success Club, like these are the things that you kind of have to be doing from day one to build a successful business. And instead of doing all the promotions, I mean, obviously the 21 Day Fix Extreme are on sale this month. They're both 140 in the challenge pack or 180 with the Kickstart, which is the 3-day refresh. So there's those, and then there's all kinds of like kind of promos and things that we're doing for Summit. But I know Steph knows about all those, and I think she's the only one that's going with me. Um, so I'll kind of skip over all that tonight and just jump right into the call because I've got a lot of like meats, but it's all really good stuff. So, and I'll try to kind of fly through it. But so really, what does it take to really, or what does it really take to be successful as a Beachbody coach? And I think that's a great question. And I think it's a question that every new coach comes in with, like, what do I really need to do to make this work? And so in order to succeed, you really have to decide to change. So there's something in your life that made you decide to sign up to coach. And for most of us, it's tied to something financial. Like maybe we've been renting for our whole lives and never had our own house and just really, really want a house of our own. Or like, you know, a spouse is working like crazy and you want to bring that spouse home, or you want to come home with your kids, or you want to, you know, be able to afford to have life with your kids, vacations, things like that. So whatever it is, or it can be a lot even deeper in some ways than that. It can just be something about your character. And for me, I was a professional quitter. Everything that I started, I quit. I gave up on myself. I was so afraid of failing at anything that I just didn't do anything. So whether I was good at something or I was interested in something, I just always didn't do it. And that was the story of my life for nearly 28 years. And Beachbody is the very first thing that I have not given up on. And there's been seasons that have been really hard and challenging, and it would have been easier to do that, but I'm not that person anymore. And that's where my personal development comes into play because I don't ever want to be that person again. So I had to really draw a line in the sand. We say it all the time, but you have to. I'm just not going to be that person again. Like I'm tired of giving up on myself. I'm tired of quitting. And so this business is showing me how to do that. And it's helping me change me. You have to decide to change, like to just stop living the way that you were living, whatever it is that was holding you back, whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, whatever story it is that you were telling yourself, you've got to change it. And then you have to start. And most of us start with a program, you know, and that's how we get into it. But you have to start with coaching. Like you just have to start. So you kind of just jump in. You can't wait for the perfect circumstances. You can't wait. There's never going to be a perfect time to do it or to go through the training or to learn the ropes or perfect time of year. I mean, yeah, we tend to be busier in the winter, but ultimately, like there's just, you make it the right time. You just have to start and take action and go. And we fail forward, but you only learn by trying. So, you know, you also have to learn from those who have what you want. So there's top coaches. There's so many people doing this that are so successful. You have to go look for them. You have to see what they're doing and duplicate it. So you always have to be willing to learn from those people who are doing it. And then commit. And you have to essentially just say, like, I'm never going to quit this. Maybe I'm going to slow my pace. Maybe in certain seasons I can do more. Maybe in other seasons I'm going to do less. And that's what I love about the business is that you get to adjust the sales. If you get pregnant like me and you're exhausted, I worked about 5 hours last month. I'm not proud of it. It wasn't my ideal. But I love that I had almost $1,000 that came in from the business of me doing nothing. That paid our entire mortgage last month. I would have never, ever had something like that. And so to me, it's pretty amazing that in a month that I did nothing and my team did nothing, that I still had that income just from residual, from the work I've done from being consistent for so long. So, but in order to get there, you got to commit. So the simple ways to succeed as a Beachbody coach, I've developed like 10 or 11 tips here that are things that if you do this, you will succeed. And the first one is you really have to plug in. So the first place you plug in is Coach Basics training. And I can tell you every single time, I can tell the coaches who are going to be successful and the ones who aren't, because the ones that are going to be successful are the ones that are posting every single day their accountability post. And they watch the videos and they do whatever little call to action that I have. And they go through that whole 30 days. a lot of coaches start and they introduce themselves and then I never see them again. Or they really aren't watching the videos, or they aren't actually what you've got to plug in. Not because I worked that hard on it, because it's not about that. It's there for the people who want it, but you've got to want it. And everything that you really need to know to build a successful business is there in those 30 days. Or actually 25, well, 20, because it's like five videos, 4 weeks. But you got to plug into that and stay accountable to yourself. And that's where you develop kind of like 21 Day Fix. It's all about developing a habit. So it's not like people are going to stop at day 21. The goal is that they've developed a healthier habit in those 21 days and they're going to keep it up. And that's what Coach Basics training is about, is that you develop a habit of being accountable to yourself as a coach. You've developed a habit of doing accountability posts, drinking your shake, doing your workout, doing your personal development, and inviting. And that will grow your successful business. So team pages are the next place to plug in. I want them to be an awesome environment. I want us to be more like, I was going to tell everybody, hey, bring a glass of wine to the meeting tonight if you want to. I obviously can't, but I want them to be fun. I want them to be, where most of us, there's a lot of friends on this team and friendships have formed. And that's what I love about it more than anything, is I don't really feel like I'm anyone's coach, even though I am. I feel like, or definitely not boss, but just that we're all just a bunch of friends helping each other be more successful in our lives and rooting each other on and motivating and supporting each other. And I think that's awesome. So team pages are a great place to plug in for that. But on top of it, it's where, you can come with any questions. You can come if you're looking for some coaches to pair up with for a challenge group, or you've got, a great script you want to share, and then other people will be sharing. The more that we share, the more we plug in and engage, the better that team page is going to be and the better everyone's going to do on the team. So I'd love to see everybody sharing what's working for them, or just if they're walking through a tough season and they need some prayer or they need some advice or whatever. I want everyone to just use that team page. I would love to see more interaction in there. But also just because there's a lot of training, resources, scripts, things like that in the file sections, old team calls, old content that would really help you. So plug into the team pages, Fit with Faith and Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And then the challenge groups, you got to plug into your challenge group. So you've got to be that example in order to be a successful coach. You've got to really get involved, get your feet wet, jump in, post your posts, post what you're eating, post your Shakeology, whatever, but be plugged in. It's not just a comment like, great job, great job, great job, but actually like engage with people, encourage them, answer their questions, and just kind of be all in there. And then the last one is the Coach Online Office. There's the Coach Training Academy. There's a training tab. So you can go through and really train yourself. Like there's people that don't even have coaches that run Coach Basics training, but the entire Coach Basics training comes from the back office. So a coach could become wildly successful simply from using the back office. Everything you could ever need is in there. So the second step is to show up. So Super Saturdays is the first place that you can really show up. And that is quarterly, so 4 times a year. The next one is August. I think it's the 23rd. I'm trying to remember. And they're everywhere. So there's one in Buffalo. There's one down here in Atlanta. I want to say Buffalo's was at like the convention center last year, somewhere down there. But so those are wonderful. And I remember thinking I don't know anyone. I didn't know anyone when I went to my first one, and I left there inspired and invigorated. And I felt like there was a million awesome people around me, and the people that got up there on stage motivated me, and people receiving $1 million checks because they just entered the Millionaires Club, all this stuff. And I was like, this is real. This is somebody who went from being homeless who's now a millionaire from this company. And this is all this stuff was so cool. And seeing the success stories, like the people who are our Beachbody challengers that won, it will do a lot for your business. And as you share it on your page and you promote and stuff like that, people will see that you're part of a team. Beachbody is one big family, and that's what I love about it. And the company-wide challenge groups, everything, everyone supports each other, lets each other share each other's stuff. It's awesome. So getting in there, you will find friends. What you hold back is going to hold you back. So if you just throw yourself out there and show up, amazing things will happen. You'll never be disappointed if you show up, if you put yourself out there and show up. Summit's another one. I realize it takes a commitment. It takes an investment financially. It is worth every penny and then some. It will quadruple your income within a couple months of coming out of it. It's the most incredible experience. I could not wait. I cannot wait to go back. And I will be there with a baby in tow next year, and my husband will be coming. And it is just, I can't say enough. So what you'll take away from that stuff is just priceless, and it will do so much for your business. Team calls, you want to show up to those. We've had times where we've had a lot of coaches on here. It's been great. We go through seasons where there's not a lot. I'm always going to keep doing them. I've been in a season recently where I've been so sick and tired I didn't do them, but I'm back, and the past is in the past. So we're going to keep this going, and we're going to keep build from the ground up again. So this is a good place to show up to. Leadership conferences. There are things like that. You can just look in Buffalo or here in Atlanta. They have nothing to do with Beachbody. but they're just like trainings. There's personal development trainings. There's like how to be a leader or how to be your own boss or how to whatever. Maybe there's mom things. And so anything you feel like if you're a disorganized person or if you're a whatever, you can find local events to go to. And that's so important. I did a leadership training here that was really cool. And I mean, some of our top coaches are flying all over the world for these things. So Michelle Myers is one of my favorite coaches. She's a really strong Christian. She just loves Jesus. She has a whole like couture Jesus line of clothing and all this other stuff. And at Summit, I wanted to make sure I was wherever she was because I love her so much. And she said something that I just love, like those who show up, go up. And that is how it works in the business. The more you show up to these things, you will rise up in the business. The next thing is to be a self-starter. It's absolutely essential in this business. And I think I am, but at the same time, I need structure. So in a classroom, I love that I get a homework assignment and I have a due date and I know when it needs to be done by, and I thrive in that environment. And one of the most challenging things for me about this business is that I had no idea, like, when do I need to do this by? And once I do this, what do I need to do next? And like, it was like I didn't have a little teacher next to me telling me. And my coach is much more hands-off than I am. And so I struggled with like, well, you're supposed to help me and you're supposed to tell me, but I was pointing the finger and I'll get to that later in the call, but it's so important that you are your own boss and it's your business and no one else's. So if you are making money or not, if you're, successful or not, it's because of you. And it's you got to be blunt about it. It just has to be said, like we are all responsible for our own success. So it's not on your upline. It's not on your teammates. It's really on you. And once you really start to just have like a come to Jesus or heart to heart and realize that and look yourself in the mirror and say, if this isn't working, it's not because it doesn't work. It's because I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing the right things when you can actually get yourself there. And I have done that. But I think I really recently, very, very recently, did that. This month was kind of one of my darker times in the business, I would say, if not the darkest. I went through a season with a lot of coaches quitting. And it's very hard when like your one rock star coach is like, oh, see you, bye. I'm deciding to try something else. And I never saw that one coming. And then all my coaches who I thought would be diamond coaches who had such great potential fell away. And these things happen in the business. And it's like a drop kick push, just like everything just fell out from under me. And it would have been pretty easy to walk away. And that's where personal development really, really comes in. And I discovered that all over again, how important that is and why, and what's helping me build it back up. But I will never quit this because I'm smart enough to know that the only way to fail is to quit. But I think that there's not a huge difference between giving in. And I was kind of giving in this season. I was like, well, I'm pregnant, I'm tired, but I don't want to be that person anymore because it's just near the same thing as giving up. And it's what I always did. So I was like, I want this bad enough. And I wondered if this wasn't a test of God looking at me saying, how much do you really want this? Because the teacher's always silent during the test. And I felt like I wasn't hearing from him. And I finally just had this moment where I was like, I want this change for my family. We need this change. And I need my husband home more and he wants to be. And I'm tired of feeling like I don't believe fully in myself and that I can do this. And I want to develop a team of women who believe in themselves. And if I don't believe in myself, how's that ever going to happen? So I need to do the work here, first and most importantly, and just start fresh. And I literally feel like I started completely fresh. I started back with my personal development. It was hard because I couldn't drink my shake. I couldn't stomach it. Couldn't do the workouts. And then, my coach completely fell off recently. And that shook me a little bit. And I know some of the girls on this team can relate to having, whether it's a coach or a friend or somebody who starts to stumble and then they start to stumble. And you don't want to be that kind of person. But we all go through that. I think we all have that in ourselves without personal development, which is why it's just so important. I know my coach, when her coach above her almost quit the business, she started thinking like, is this right for me? The business is literally built on personal development. If you aren't doing it, you have no chance to succeed. And I'll get to that too. But so it's really, really important that at some point you'll get to that point where you'll be like, I'm not doing much with this, or it's not happening, or it's not, and you'll realize it's just because of you, because you've actually never really tried. Or maybe you did, but then you kind of stopped. And, so it's super, super important that you just take responsibility for the business and then be a self-starter. So if you have a question, find the answer. If you need to get better at something, go do some training on it. So utilize the training available to you. There's the Coach Online Office. There's a Success tab, the leadership ladder that you can work your way up the rung. So when you log into your Coach Online Office and you see where your successful points, there's little tabs at the top, and one says personal volume and one says on the right-hand side says Leadership Ladder. And if you click on that tab, it'll show you a little bit of a different screen, and it shows you like what your next goal should be. And if you follow that, like someone like me who needs some of that structure, it will kind of keep showing me, okay, I got to get my personal volume to this. I have to get this many coaches hitting success. I have to, get my own, volume, whatever to this. And so it helps a lot. You know the direction to keep growing. YouTube is an amazing resource. There's incredible coaches. Our brand new superstar 4-time diamond coach, Lindsay Matway, her calls are all liquid gold. Like you will leave everyone and feel like you just, learned so much or got so much personal development, whatever it is. They're all free. They're all at your fingertips. Thank God. And that was never like that. So once you hit diamond, there's diamond and above trainings that Beachbody corporate will offer you, and you can be in these groups. And I know I had a wonderful experience in my 1-star diamond group or push to 2-star group. And there's weekly calls, and it's just amazing to be around women who are inspiring each other and pouring into each other and helping each other. And it will really transform your business as well. If you aren't getting results, again, you got to change what you're doing. We all go through those seasons. Some people look at me and think, oh, she's just always done this and she gets this result. There are months that what I was doing for 3 months stops working. And my clean eating group stopped working. No one wants to be in them. Or a debt-free group, the advertising stops working. So there's always, I constantly have to be looking at what I'm doing and saying, like, are these posts reaching people? Is what I'm doing working? Have I stopped speaking to my specific target audience? And have I started getting too broad? Have I, started to try to sound like a different coach and not like me? And so I have to reevaluate. I got to kind of troubleshoot, and then, really got to embrace being an entrepreneur and not an employee. And I think for the longest time, I looked at myself as an employee of Beachbody. And you have to actually, and it's kind of scary to be like, I own my own business. Like none of us, it's uncomfortable. But if you can actually look at, like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm starting my own business. It's my health and fitness business. I'm a health and wellness coach, and I'm going to run this like my way. And I'm using Beachbody tools and products. It changes things. Like, it makes you kind of more accountable. Like if you were a boss of a major company, would you hire you or would you fire you right now? Would you give you a raise? And we don't always like to think about that. But if you aren't showing up, if you aren't working consistently, if you're just in and out and you're up and down, and I don't really feel like it today, like that's not an employee mindset, or that's an employee mindset and not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is always looking for ways to make it better, to provide a better service, stuff like that. So definitely have to embrace that to be successful. Number 4, find those who have what you want and do what they do. So top coaches, like I'm sure most of us want to be there, making that kind of income or having that kind of success or having that kind of a following or having whatever it is about being there that you'd like to have. Mimic that. They did it, they got there, so they know how to do it. So if you follow them, plug into their trainings, their YouTube videos, whatever, I think you'll be there. Some of you might look at me and be like, well, I would just love to be there. I would love to have $2,000 a month in my pocket and to not have to do this like all day, every day, like some of the, top coaches. Actually, ironically, they do nothing. But so like you could make that your goal and talk to me about how I got there and what I did. I mean, I'm more than happy to share it. Kind of what these team calls are all about. Teachability is the key to lasting success. Ooh, I forgot to leave that image, but as an entrepreneur. So you have to be teachable. And a lot of times that takes kind of failing first and feeling like I'm a professional failure. Like I was before I started. I knew that I had no idea what I was doing and I had no experience. And so that made me incredibly teachable. And then even as you start to get success, you still have to stay teachable and know that there's so much more that you could know to keep growing, because you can always keep growing. Even our superstar diamond coaches know that they can keep growing and make it better and reach more people. And then when you hit a wall, and you will, I just did, we all do, I've had it happen like 3-4 times now in almost a year and a half, you have to remember to ask for help from your upline. That's what you're there for more than anything as a coach. Like I would love to talk to anybody who's going through a tough time or needs some, kind of more of a heart-to-heart or one-on-one, but I can't track everyone down. And I spent a lot of time dragging people to the top or trying to, and it didn't work. And I spent a lot more time. And now I decided I really want to work with those who are committed and who really, really want to change their life. Because unless you're ready to do that, it's not going to work. And I'll be wasting my time and you'll be wasting your time. So, but your upline is there for support because she's already been through it all. Like there's probably nothing you can go through in your first year in the business that your upline didn't before you. So that's really there to plug into and to reach out to whenever you need. The top coaches, follow them on social media. whoops, I'm making a ton of typos. YouTube, team calls, all that, because they're the ones that have already done it. So find the ones you like. And then I want to share really quickly. So this is one of my personal development books I'm reading right now. I got it at a PD swap at Super Saturday. I had heard wonderful things from a top coach, Laura Mendenhall, that I love. And I was like, she's so amazing. So I'm going to like whatever she recommends. She uses this instead of the split edge as the first book. So I just swapped in the book and got this. And it's incredible. So I want to share this little brief story with you guys. So, we use scripts. So this woman was actually homeless and suicidal. And like her whole family, there was drugs and abuse and all the stories, terrible and tragic. And right before something about her husband like cheated on her and took all of her money. And one day she was like living in this beautiful mansion, and the next day she was like in a car, homeless, and was thinking of committing suicide. And the only thing in the back of the car, one of the only things, was she had a box. It was a weight loss product, because she had gained some weight from having her kids. And she had bought it, whatever, when she had money, and now she didn't. It was the only thing she had. And so it's story about how like that from that she actually sold it and figured out how to sell more, even though she didn't want anything to do with selling or with weight loss products or whatever, in that sense. And she's like a multimillionaire, and she's a really strong Christian, all this stuff. So, but anyways, what she said was she decided to figure out how to like sell that, but she had no idea what it was. And so one of the first things she did was to call, she said, well, I'm going to try to sell it, right? So she said, she put up a little flyer. I think she hand wrote them because she had some paper and she had like a pen, and stuck them up in like post office and local stuff, whatever. And so it said that when people called me in response to the weight loss flyer, I didn't really know what to say. I didn't have a script. And we've all been there as a new coach, like, right? Message our coach, like, what do I say? Someone's interested. I called the first person back and he asked, how much is it? $125, I said. That's too expensive, he said, and hung up on me. I realized what was standing in my way was my inability to get someone to say yes. I didn't know how to handle the objection. It's too expensive. I didn't know how to set up the call to have the prospect say, yes, I want it, and I want it now. They were calling because they needed to lose weight, and I had a product that could help. But at the time, I did not have the skills yet to communicate with them in a way that would create a win-win equation for both of us. They would lose weight while I would get paid for helping them. I remembered that business lesson. Find someone who has what you want and do what they do. I used somebody else's ad as a template to write my own, and it worked. Now I needed a template for talking to prospects who called about the ad so that they would convert into customers. I also knew I needed a script for answering people's phone calls. Scripts have great value in keeping you focused, and they help you navigate a successful conversation, as we all know from this business. So I found a successful diet center in Kona and called it as though I was answering one of their ads. This is so smart. This was not new to me because I had struggled with weight for many years and had responded to a lot of weight loss advertisements. The difference this time was learning how to talk to the person calling about the ad instead of being the person who's responding to the ad. Hi, I said, I'm calling in reference to your ad about losing weight. Great, what's your name? The lady on the other end said. She asked me a series of questions and then told me a little bit about the program, sliding in my name every once in a while. I learned so much from that call, it became my template. I saw that the first thing to do was ask questions and encourage the prospects to talk about themselves. Then describe the program using the prospect's name often, and close the sale by showing how the product meets the prospect's needs. By finding out what these successful people were doing, I was able to create this template for building my own success. This is still true today. It is true no matter if you are just starting out like I was then, or if you're already successful in business. Find people who have what you want and do what they do. So the interesting thing is she said that she tried it immediately. She called the person back that left a message, and she read this script that she kind of written out. She said, hi, Sally, this is Danny. I'm calling you back. You called in reference to a weight loss program. Yes, I did, she said. Great. I need you to ask a few questions to figure out which program to direct you to, which, as you know, is much like what I do. So in my scripts, I say like, great, I'm so glad you're interested. I can't wait to chat. The first thing that would really help is for me to ask you a few questions to get to know a little bit better and where you are in your health and fitness journey, right? So similar kind of a thing. So she says, great, I need to ask you a few questions direct. How much weight do you want to lose? 50 pounds. What types of diets have you tried in the past? I've tried cutting calories, working out, starving myself, throwing up. How do you feel these worked out for you? They did not work at all. I'm still fat. Okay, Sally, we've been so busy with our promotion that we are having to do phone. This is the key. This is really good. We have been so busy with our promotion that we are having to do phone interviews to figure out who is really serious about losing weight, because it is a lot of work on our part to help you lose weight. This is guaranteed to work for you. So we need clients who are absolutely serious about losing weight. How serious are you? Then I proceeded to tell her about my weight loss program, and bam, I got my first customer. then another, and another, eventually 24 out of 25. Some even said, I want it right now. That's how I sold my first product. In 4 days, 40 people said yes and wrote me checks for $125 each. My profit from this was $2,000. So she said, I didn't know at the time, but I was honoring my prospects. Remember the law of honor? It means honoring everything around you, including the people that you meet, from millionaires to Walmart workers. And it's important to form them. Ask about their family, occupation, recreation, message, as well as asking about their strengths, interests, goals, and needs. So that right there, and I know I'm going to start incorporating more of almost that exact script this week and see how it goes, but it's really, really great to try that. So hopefully that gives you a little bit about, finding people who are doing it, implementing it, and it'll work for you too. Get a success partner. So if you don't know what this is, it took me a long time to find one. And I know that it seems like, this is a lot of stuff to do to be successful, but ultimately these things are just all going to make your life better, Beachbody or not. So with a success partner, what it really is it's finding someone that you can connect with. I use the local Facebook pages and stuff like that, from like the Georgia Beachbody coaches, and make a post like, I'm looking for, a success partner. And you've got to be kind of picky. Like, you've got to almost interview people and find someone that's right around your rank and going at your pace, and someone whose personality you jive with. If you're a Christian, you might want to find a Christian, this and that. And you would set up whether it's, you guys can pick it. If you want to talk every week for like 20 minutes, once a week, if you want to talk every other week. And you really, this was a great way for me to feel like I was forming a friendship at the beginning, to surround myself personally in a personal way, and not just like challenge groups are really great, but to have more of a personal connection with somebody in there where we're kind of holding each other accountable to our goals as coaches and our weaknesses and our strengths. And hopefully you find someone who has opposite as you. So some of the things you're good at, maybe you can share with them, and some of the things for them, they can share, and you grow together. You become really good friends, and it's awesome. So you just want to be surrounding yourself with positive people like that. And as a coach, people that are going to help you stay accountable to yourself as goals. And I think it's great to have somebody outside of your team as a success partner. So then map out your month in advance. And this is going to be our team call next time, is to really the specifics of exactly how to do this. And but when you're running your free group, a challenge group sneak peek, a coach sneak peek, a challenge group, you want to know the start and end dates. And based on that, then you know when to advertise. 2 weeks before the challenge group, 2 days before a preseason of a free group, or 2 days before, a few days before like a challenge group or a coach sneak peek. So that you're not like, oh shoot, like it's midnight and now you're posting an ad and no one's going to see it. You don't really want to be scrambling when you do. It's not going to be you. And the more personal that you make it, I found that sometimes when I copy and paste from top coaches, which I don't do anymore, but when I tried it, I really wouldn't get much, even though it worked so well for them. And I think it's because they wrote it from their heart and I didn't. So it's good to try, different things and play around with it and find what works for you and what doesn't. But you always want to be organized enough to know like what you've got coming up that next month, when it's starting, and when you got to advertise, and your month will just flow better. It'll be much easier to hit Success Club. You also want to plan any sales, groups, themes for those groups. You want to make your posts kind of seasonal. So holidays, or back to school, like moms finally have some time freed up in their schedule after a crazy summer, they can get back to working on themselves. At the same time, when school starts, they're running their kids all around to activities, like they need convenience. Like, so we're going to focus on 20-minute workouts and, fast crock pot meals, all that stuff. So it's just good to always be thinking of what the needs are around that time of year after holidays, detoxes, 3-day refresh, stuff. All right, so then you want to stay organized and get organized and stay organized. So track your business. So if you're not, I'm a pen and paper girl, and I have tried so hard to use Excel, and I still do it, but I find that I'm more inconsistent with it because it's not my natural thing. So find what works for you, whether you need a planner, an agenda. There's all kinds of tracking systems like that, Truly or something it's called, TRUILY, I think, for Beachbody coaches that a lot of people use. You schedule so you can find something, but you got to be using something, because otherwise you're going to forget the people that you're talking to. And from one day to the next, if somebody doesn't get back to you, you might just completely forget about them. We've all had it happen. It's terrible, especially if you ever have it happen where then you later see them sign up with somebody else and you were originally talking to them, but you forgot about them. Because people who are interested they want it. So you want to make sure that you have a system for knowing who to follow up with and when. Schedule your power hours, your workouts, your calls, so that you know that you're going to get them in. I mean, we all know that planning to fail, or failing to plan is planning to fail. So you got to say, like, this is the time I'm going to do it, and my alarm's going off, I'm going to do it. And the power hour, as a stay-at-home mom, I struggle with scheduling it. Every day is different for me, typically, and when my son is going to bed and when he's getting up. but it doesn't give me an excuse to not do it. So I get it in at a different time every day typically, but I get it in, or at least I did before I was feeling like I was going to puke my brains out, but I'm getting back to that now. So, and team calls, or if you've got calls with a coach, call with a prospective client, get an agenda. I should have brought mine over here, but some kind of cute planner and get everything down so that you're organized. Time yourself when you work. This is so eye-opening. And that's one of the most important things that you can do, because most of us will be like, okay, I'm going to work. I'm going to log into my power hour. And we're mostly browsing social media, commenting on random people's things. And like an hour's gone by and then we're like, what did I do? Didn't even message anybody or invite anybody. And it's so easy to just be like, bam, 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 bam. I've got power hours sometimes down to like 35, 40, 45 minutes. You cannot tell me that it's not worth it to be sailing on a yacht, debt-free, with an amazing home and your family all with you in like 4 years because you worked 45 minutes to an hour, 5 days a week. There's no one in their right mind that could say that that's not worth it. Anyone has 45 minutes. I posted on our team page this morning about a woman who works like in a legal office or whatever, and she's there typical like 7 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever. And she gets there 20 minutes early just to kind of get organized for the day. Like, this is what I need to post this. This is what I need to, who I need to follow up with, whatever. And when I'm going to post this and that. And then she works her day, but on her lunch break, instead of just kicking her feet back and gabbing, socializing with friends, she uses that time to build her business so that when she goes home, that's it. She's completely with her family and her husband and can enjoy a relaxing night and just maybe check in with her challengers real quick before she goes to bed in that day. And it's worth it. It's because that little bit of time, if you're effective with it, can change your whole life. Most people are not effective with the time that they're putting into their business. So time yourself. It makes you kind of feel under the gun and pressure, and you get it done quicker. You can also use an app like 30/30 if you've got an iPhone, and that will really help you stay on track. So it's a good one for each. This invest in yourself is huge. This quote was one of the best things I've ever seen. I'm going to be sharing on my page probably tomorrow. I love Jim Rohn, but this quote's amazing. Like, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. That is what Beachbody is all about. That is what we embody. We are about working on ourselves. And by doing that, we inspire other people to do the same. And it's not just health and fitness. It's who you are as a person. And if you really, really are working on you, we all have our own unique, like, fears, struggles, anxiety, like demons and skeletons in our closet. We all have that stuff. And there's developing and working on those things and growing in those areas. We could all be better wives, better mothers, better friends, better, you name it. And there's things that are holding all of us back. So if you work on yourself, like, take the money out of it, the success, the points, whatever. If you truly decide, I'm here to become a better me. So what about this is going to make me a better me? How can I do that? And you really are working on that, and that's the center of your business, you will be successful. So you find books that speak to you, that are what you need, whether it's Make It Happen or Own Your Life or, Stepping Out of Fear or First Steps to whatever it may be. And invest that personal development. It's key. I would rather have a coach doing the shake, working out, and doing 10 minutes of personal development and not building a business by inviting, because building the business is more about those two things than anything else. So I would always, if someone says to me, well, I can work my business, but I didn't have time for my PD, it's totally backwards. I can guarantee you'll never make it up. That was a brutal awakening for me just recently when I realized that deepest hole I got into in the business for the longest, the very first month I didn't hit Success Club 10 in like 14 months. It was very disheartening. I didn't deserve to hit it, but I didn't hit it. I worked really hard at the end and I was on my knees a lot. But the truth is, I needed to see that and realize that, because like I didn't work that hard, but I also completely stopped doing any personal development at a time that I really needed it. I needed it as a person. I was struggling. I was sick. Couldn't drink my shake. My nutrition was terrible. I was tired. I had guilt as a mom. I felt like I was failing everything and everybody. I needed personal development. And when I started doing it again, I started wanting to get back into this again. So they are so, so related. I think PD should be in all of our posts and our challenge groups. It's something I'm working into this new Bikini Mama group that I'm doing. And it's in my post. I made a post this morning that a lot of it was from First Steps to Wealth, about not needing it to be the perfect job or the perfect circumstances or whatever, just deciding that you're going to change your life and doing it. And that came from that book. And there's sometimes things that I read that are like, that's exactly what I needed to hear when I started, or that's exactly me. And I share those things because I know it's going to add value. And the interesting thing is I made that post this morning and it was long, but I loved it. I was like, that's a good post. And even if nobody, whatever. And immediately one girl liked it and she messaged me instantly and said she's been debating Beachbody coaching for like a long time and really wants to know, had a couple questions for me and wanted to know more about it. And we've already been talking today. And then my cousin from Buffalo called me. She messaged me first and said, I feel like you're in my mind sometimes, and your post completely spoke to me this morning. I have been needing and wanting to do something for so long, and I've watched you for so long, and I'm finally ready to try. Tell me what I need to do. And I talked with her for like an hour on the phone today. I mean, one post, but that post, it was right for me. It spoke to me and it was what I needed. And when I share that, it reached other people in a much more meaningful way than anything else. So that's what it's all about, personal development. Always invest at least 10% of your profit back into yourself. And whether it's books or whether it's a seminar, getting away with a girlfriend for some whatever retreat that you feel like you need, it's all about thinking of ways that you could become a better person and pursuing those ways. Health and fitness is part of it, but it's not all of it. And if you build your foundation, I believe that the foundation that I want all my coaches to build their business on is Jesus. But if you are not there yet, or even if you are, I still think how it's crucial to have in this Beachbody sense, like that the rock is kind of like, for a metaphorical term or whatever, is the personal development. So coaches tend to think that they don't need personal development when they're just starting out, but the truth is that if you don't learn to do it then and make it a habit then you'll never make it to the top. And all the top coaches say that. I've heard it a billion times and I'm already realizing how true it is. So then nearing the end here, but this is a big one. You always want to follow the golden rule. And I think that typically for new coaches, when we're not really seeing results or we're not where we want to be, we're frustrated that everybody wants to just do it for free or everybody's commenting on our stuff, but then nobody actually wants to do it. Super frustrating. Again, personal development helps. But I think it's so important to think back to where you were before you started. Think about how you treated your coach, right? Were you hesitant? Were you nervous? Were you non-committal? Did you maybe talk to her and then it took you months or a year to sign up? Like, where were you when you started? And think about like, what did you need to hear? Like, what would have made the difference? How did your coach treat you that made her seem different? How do you want to treat people? And how do you want to be that? So you got to meet them where they're at. Like, it's so easy for us to be like, this shake is awesome and these programs work and these challenge groups are the difference. We know that, but they don't know that. So you have to meet them where they're at and explain why. And I found that the best thing I can say to people is, I felt the exact same way. That line makes me so relatable. Like, I'm very honest and I tell people I did not want that shake. I did not think you needed it, and I also didn't like it. And I find that honesty takes me so much further. But I explained to people where I was at feeling like I did not have that 130 and why even try it, because I knew I couldn't afford to continue it. And that helps people because that's where they are usually. But when I explained to them what I learned and about how it has saved us money and what the shake does for me, and like that makes a difference. And typically I don't even get objections anymore, more often than not. So what did you need to learn about the shake that made you decide that it was worth the money? Or what did you need to learn about the challenge groups or the program that made it different for you? Think about that. And that's what you need to share with people. Also, you got to form everybody. Forming is huge. It's part of our coach training and it's in our back office. That means that you're asking, first important, when you're sending those warm invites, which, well, not a warm invite, but just a hey girl message, which is essential in the power hour and building a business. Like, hey, I haven't talked to you in forever. Like, I just saw you had a kid. How are you? Da-da. Like, where do you guys live now? Or I see you moved to blank and how do you like it there? You're asking about their family, occupation, recreation, and eventually you're going to get to your message. But you're really just kind of getting back in touch. And it's so important to ask a lot of questions about them and to listen. I think one of my biggest mistakes as a new coach, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this, is really feeling like I just couldn't wait for my message. Like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, great. So I'm a Beachbody coach now, like whatever it would be. And I was waiting to work it in to see if it would work for them, if it was something that they needed. And it kept not working for me. It was like I was making it harder. I was doing all this work and it wasn't really working because I really wasn't being genuine. It was really that I just wanted to build my business and make some money. And yeah, I wanted to help people, but I was leading with that. I wasn't really genuinely trying to get to know somebody. And when you can get yourself to that point, that it's more about those relationships, like, and you think about the gravity of possibly affecting somebody's life and pouring into it, you don't want to rush it. Like you actually, it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to just connect with somebody that you don't know and have them talk to you about their life. So And I have so many great friendships, new friends, meaningful connections, doulas I've connected with, great Christian, like people from all over, authors that are going to help me get into the business when I'm ready, all this stuff because I've been reaching out to people. It's really great to do anyways, but don't sell them, but you almost want to interview them. Like you almost want to make them feel like they're on an interview, like, you're really getting to know them and you're asking them and it's actually going to help them feel like they're going to come kind of more to you. Like they're going to feel like rather than like, when anybody feels like they're being sold something, they like cling to their wallet and they're like cringing and we don't want that. But if you're different, if you're not trying to sell them something, if you're really getting to know them, and letting them get to know you, they're really going to want more of you. And that's the more important thing because ultimately really what you're kind of selling is yourself. This is a big one. It's a little bit more on it. Don't jump on them with your agenda. You don't want to come across as an amateur salesperson who's only after one thing, which is the prospect's money. You want to become a professional who's after a long-term business relationship. Also on that note, I found that, and very recently, this was from some personal development lately, that I realized that one of my biggest mistakes as a new coach for attracting challengers and coaches, I was trying to convince people who were not ready that they were ready. Like I wanted it for them more than they wanted it for themselves. And as a result, like that is not the kind of customer you want. They're going to be so much work. They're going to be like somebody that you have to constantly be checking in with. They're going to be asking all these questions. They're like, they're going to want a refund. It's just going to be more work every single step of the process. So I actually think I decided to get more picky, like where she said in that excerpt of the script of like, how serious are you about losing weight? And because I've been so busy or whatever, it's guaranteed to work for you. I need to be absolutely certain that you're absolutely certain and serious about this. And if somebody's not, good, I don't want to work with them because they have to get to that point. Kind of like coming to Jesus or anything else. I could look at somebody until they're blue and talk to them until blue in the face about my beliefs and why I feel like, all this stuff. But if they aren't there, it's not going to stick. And if somebody isn't at this place that they're going to be ready to coach or they're going to leave these demons behind or they're not going to, it has to come from them. It'll be so much more powerful when it is. So I feel like our job is awesome. We get to reach out. We get to be the workers, but God's going to bring the rain. So that's why I'm always praying over my posts and my coaches and it because it's not in my hands if somebody's ready or not. And ultimately that's his work. And I just say, bring me the people who are ready and and the people who aren't, it's an honor to be able to just pour in a little bit and encourage them and be positive. And it's amazing that we get to do this. So, we want to make people feel the way that you needed to feel when you made this decision. And I touched on that before. So maybe you were feeling like I've never done anything without quitting it in my life. I know I felt like that. Or, I've tried a million things that hasn't worked for me. So whether it was hesitation or fear or whatever it is, think about what you needed to hear. What made the difference? Was it compassion? Was it a lack of judgment? And give that to your prospective clients. People really don't care what you know until they know that you care. Most Beachbody coaches at the beginning get caught up on like, well, I don't know what to say and I don't know anything about the shake. And I know I felt that way. I felt like I had to research till I was blue in the face before I could talk to anybody. And that was such a mistake. You can talk to anybody right now. It's really more that people need a coach, an encourager, a supporter. They just need to know that you care, that you're not just trying to get money from them. And then think of what experience you've had in challenge groups or in coaches or whatever in your worst and best times. And always try to make your clients' experience even better than that. If you do that, you will be wildly successful. I know as coach, I want to get my coaches to where I am and at least half the time. And that's always my goal. Of course, I can't make somebody be ready, but if they are, I'm going to work as hard. Their goals become my goals because that's really important to me, that they don't have to do all the legwork and spend all the time that I did. My upline is a wonderful person and a close friend, just hasn't really worked the business consistently, not as much as I have, and has a very different philosophy. And I just want my coaches to know that if my business is falling apart and if I'm sick and if all these things are not going well, I'm at least still there for my coaches. That's really important to me. Because you signed up because you thought you were going to have a coach who was going to be supporting you. And if nothing else, if I can't work my own business, then that's just part of my thing. So I didn't have the best experience. So I want to make sure that my coaches have a better experience. And that drives me. Same thing with challengers. I've had experiences in challenge groups that I thought weren't great. I've watched my coaches above me do things that I didn't think were great. And so I've now tried to make it better for my challengers. And that's worked pretty well for me so far. Also brand yourself. This is huge. I'm still working on this one. I'll be honest. It's difficult. You got to think of the target audience. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to the working moms, the stay-at-home moms? Do you have an age group you're talking to? I did a team call on this not that long ago, so I'm not going to harp on it. You can go back and read it. It's a whole call about branding yourself. But it's important to tailor your post to that audience. That whole quote I shared in that call, that if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. So you have to speak specifically to who you're trying to reach and make posts toward that person, to the person you were when you started, what you needed to hear, and stop hiding behind Beachbody. I was for the longest time Shakeology, like 22-minute hardcore, 20 fix. And yeah, they're great programs and products, and they're going to help people. But really, it's you're the brand. You're the product. What's your message? Like, what's your story? Why are you here? Why are you a coach? What are you trying to do? What do you want your life to say? What do you want it to mean? Like, what would be awesome if think of a mission statement and let that drive you. Like, you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur, you've got your own business, you've got to have a mission statement. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? And when you think of that, start thinking of those things, you're going to start feeling more like your own boss anyways. And the last one is to stay consistent. And this is the most important thing. We're in a business of consistency. And I'll tell you, last month when I was super sick and super tired, I've been in this push to 2-star group for months. It's been awesome. It's been riveting. I've learned a lot. It really started to jumpstart my business again. And whenever I plug in and dig in, that's exactly what happens when I show up every time. But I was really struggling. I just couldn't make the calls. So I stopped showing up to them, which again, people always notice that's always something not good's going on. And, I'm getting so more nauseous. I had no energy. I felt like a terrible mom. Like something had to go. And I was like, I just can't, I feel like I can't do this Beachbody thing right now. The very first time. And it's so interesting because I finally made a post in that group because I had been the one that was like, I'm going to be elite this year. And everybody was like, that girl's going to do it because my energy and my passion. And I lit up that team call and everyone was like, she's awesome. And I felt like they're all going to be like, well, where'd she go? Like, this is the most inconsistent I've been in my business since I started. And I'm embarrassed because here I talk this talk now. I'm like, oh, face the planet. I made a post in there and I was just like, just want you guys to know I recently found out that I've been really sick and having a really tough time. This, that, and the other. So, unfortunately, I've got to kind of take a step. And I defended myself. Why? It's just, I feel like I'm a mom first and foremost, and my kids need my kid needs my time and attention. And right now, I can barely do that. And so I'm just going to have to get back into it when hopefully I feel a little bit better next month. And there was a coach who was wonderful enough to be honest. One lady was like, congratulations, that's awesome. And then there's another coach who said, I think that you're going to regret this decision later. I know it's hard. It's always going to be hard. But this is a business of consistency. And that's the business that we're in. And it seemed harsh at the time. I won't lie. I was kind of like, I need to defend myself. Like, I'm pregnant and I'm sick and all this stuff. But that girl really helped me. I had to send her a message and say thank you because ultimately she made me realize that it was an excuse. It was a darn good excuse. But there's going to be seasons that we all walk through. There's going to be things that happen in our lives that shake us and make us harder. But actually, if you could put that into a post, that's exactly the thing that's going to reach more people. Like that vulnerability or that, because you better believe that anything you're walking through, there's a million other people in your social network that have walked through it and aren't talking about it. And they're always grateful for the ones that are. So telling the world that I've been sick and telling the world that I almost gave up, but I'm not because that's all I ever did before and I'm done. Like, it shows people that I'm not there. I'm not this end product and this result, and that's what people need to see. So I think that there's no matter what you go through in the business, is my whole point is if you're doing personal development and you're spending time with God, you can always find a way to bring it back. It's never like, what I love is that it's not too late. It's not like, oh, my whole business just fell apart and I'm done. I mean, yeah, I lost a little bit of ground last month. Yeah, I didn't hit Success Club 10 for a month. But this is nothing. I think that helped me rebuild even stronger now moving forward because that happened. So it's important, though, what that girl said is so true. It's a business of consistency. And you can't pop in twice a month and throw up a challenge group ad and expect to be making a lot of money in this business. It's you being consistent, and you got to show people that you're being consistent with the workouts, with the shake. If you just fell off the face of the planet, like, here's the good news. Like, you can just post another picture, but be like, I went through a tough time this month. Like, I moved into my house, or I got pregnant and I've been sick, or whatever the thing is, or whatever part of it that you're willing to share. And you get to say, like, but here's the good news. We all fall down. We all stumble. What matters is that you get back up. It's never too late. It's never too late to get back on track. And whatever you want to say to put out there, it's going to make somebody else's life better. It's going to touch somebody. That's what coaching is all about. Like, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. We lose our, but you want to stay as consistent as you can. And even, day in and day out, it's so small. That's what the Slight Edge is all about. It's those small things. It's 45 minutes a day that most people aren't willing to sacrifice in the short term to be exactly where they want to be in the long term. But success takes consistency. So that is it for my call. I know it was a lot of stuff, but I think that those are the things that are really like the most important. If you're doing those things, like, there's no way you won't be successful. There's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys, but that's, I think, what it takes. So since Em, I think you're the only person still on. Yeah. Do you have any questions about anything in there?
Sorry, I had to unmute. No, I think that's good.
Okay. I know it's a lot of stuff, and I know you're just kind of starting to go through Coach Basics now. So a lot of it's in there, and stuff is kind of in chunks here and there. But it's a good call maybe to go back to as you need, or just to keep that stuff in mind. I know you already got yourself a couple personal development books, so that's really good, because that'll be it's helpful, because it's tough to be in a business where you hear rejection, objections, or you get rejected, or people don't hear back, and it makes you question, like, do they not like me, or like, am I that person that I didn't want to be, or whatever it may be, and it can get into your head, and it can frustrate, make you give up on it, and change your life in all the best ways. But it's why it's just necessary. And then, of course, as a leader, it comes into play for being a better leader and identifying your weaknesses and your strengths, and helping your team do that, and not letting it get you when a person, like, you have this people pin that this girl's gonna be diamond by here and that girl's gonna be diamond by there, and then everyone just stops, and like, it's important all the way to the top. And on top of all of that, outside of the business, all the things that we walk through in our lives, and the ups and the downs, and the things that hurt us, and the things that are like those crazy busy seasons, it's the one thing that, if you can't do anything else, like, God knows there's been a lot of times I haven't been able to stay up on my inviting. I've been terrible about my inviting for months now, because of my move and the pregnancy and everything else. But I mean, it's been months that I've been inviting, and I've still been hitting success with 10 every month for last month. So I think it's important to invite. Again, I was consistent for more than a year before that, and so that helped me lay a really strong foundation of people who I was talking to. But it's really just the personal development and the workout and the shake. And if you just keep doing that consistently, like, you're being a coach, then you'll get results. I hope you enjoy those books. When are you leaving on vacation?
Tuesday.
Awesome. We're leaving on Saturday, so it'll be nice to be relaxing at the same time. Did the books come in already?
They did, yeah. So I was flipping through them. I already started the Made to Crave one. Melissa and I have started that, and we're like, it's so true.
Yeah, I know. So, I posted an awesome advertisement. I'll have to go back and find it for you, but it was a Made to Crave when the book first came out. It was a Made to Crave challenge group. And I said that anybody that signed up, that I would send them a copy of it. And we were going to read it in the group 10 minutes a day and share, like, our big takeaways. I was so excited about the idea. I had actually seen another coach posted, a top coach, and I was like, that's awesome. And I had a ton of people like the post, love the idea, but no one except for already someone who was already a challenge of mine who wanted to, like, do it. So I didn't end up doing it. But I was like, maybe some other time, maybe after you girls read it, we can all try doing one together or something. But I think it's so wonderful. So many people, that book would just speak to them.
Yeah. I was just saying, we just have to do it. Like, reading it's one thing, but to actually implement everything that she's saying, it'll help.
It's harder, but I feel like with that stuff, it's always harder to walk up. But I feel like when I, like, really pray about it and just really try to, like, turn it over, that's when I'm like, doing it of my own strength is typically not going to work. But when I, ask for his strength with it, I think it's, he meets you where you're at, and, bridges that gap. And
yeah.
Well, I'll be praying for you girls about that, and that you have an awesome restful vacation, because I know you need it.
Thank you.
And then with Coach Basics, you just do whatever. If you stop, whether it's Monday or Tuesday or whatever, always know that you're hopping back in, like, whenever you get back, and you can always just catch back up, and the groups stay open. So
yeah, if we can find Wi-Fi and I can hop on and watch a video here and there, I might, but I just don't know what it's going to be like down there.
Yeah,
because I've never traveled anywhere like that before. So
yeah, and I think it's really, you need to really unplug and just relax. And get away, and then I went really fun. Yeah. Yeah. Well, enjoy, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.